Hell yeah. All right, ladies and gents. I think we are live up in this fucking piece. This piece right here, this whole piece that you're seeing right here, and then this side over here as well, and then where I'm sitting, we're live, man. How's it going, guys? Happy Sunday. I'm going to crack open a beer to you folks and going ahead and enjoy it myself. So today, I'm just going to jump right the fuck in, man. We are getting to track 9. Well, first of all, I guess let's step back a minute and say it's been like 2 weeks, I think, since I've streamed. One of the weeks I was just hanging out, cleaning the house, and taking care of my dog, Felix, who I think in this stream is actually behind me momentarily. Usually he's not in the room, but he's in the room this time. He's been chilling with his dad. So we've got Felix, the house. Then the next week after that, I was going to stream. Work called me in on Sunday for overtime, so I was like, I'll do it Saturday, whatever. Saturday comes along, and I'm like, it's like Memorial Day weekend or whatever, which I don't give a shit about really, but I just kind of was chilling anyway, so I was like, whatever, all right, we'll wait another week. Gave me some time to practice for this today, folks, which I've already got it pulled up, man. I'm already into it because I've been practicing it and just trying to warm up for the stream, man. So we are getting to track 9 of the Centrifuge. If you are not with it at this point, this is Pepe Mache, this is my stream, that's my guitar, that's my Mountain Dew, this is my beer, and we are going to get to track 9 called The Offering of the Centrifuge. So what I've been doing lately is I've been kind of, or at least for the last song as well, out of this whole album, I've done all the tracks. And for Paper Tiger, I picked up the guitar and was like, hey man, I want to start like playing guitar and singing on this shit. And so I started doing that. And for The Offering, I had a few streams where, or at least a stream where I was doing some Dark Souls Fist Only run. Go check that out because that's fun and I'm getting places. I was kind of talking about this stream coming up. You know, The Offering. I was talking about it on that one, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to play guitar and just play the song like I did with Paper Tiger and sing it, because this song is a lot more impactful on the kind of lyrical level and the wall of sound that you get enveloped in, especially at the end. Like, you know, there's as far as, like, I never planned myself to really play it live or on stream much of any kind, you know, and do renditions of it or whatever you want to call it. So really all it is it's like in E major 7 to an E major, and I didn't just want to sit here and strum that in 6/8 time, you know, over and over, or 12/8 or whatever way you want to consider it. So I wanted to do something different for it. So I'm going to shut the fuck up, and we're going to do something different today. We are going to get to the song before talking about the art and the lyrics. Or wait, do we always do it that way? I think we always do it that way, folks. So never mind, we're going to stick to the schedule. Everything that's coming is as expected. Every little thing that's about to follow for the next, like, hour or so is as expected. Nothing different than usual. Right? So you can go on ahead and sit down in your seat, buckle up your seat belt, put your napkins on your laps or whatever the fuck, and we're gonna get to doing this. Pepe was apparently clinging onto my high E string, and I think almost broke it there when I was picking it up. So, Pepe's sitting over there chilling. I mean, he's been listening to me practice all evening. He knows that it's nothing flashy and it's nothing crazy because I suck at guitar. But the thing about this is it's new for me, and it's also something that I've been trying to do on the newest Bedbugs album I've written, which is basically already written, and I've just got to put full instrumentation on it. And that's something that's not necessarily on the forefront of my musical mind right now. Back after I released this album back in 2019. Well, let me say first by saying what the thread is even. The thread is that this is new for me. This whole playing like lead lines on the top with the guitar and stuff is kind of a new realm for me, and that's what I'm going to be doing with The Offering. I'm going to be kind of playing these tiny little riffs and leads and things on top while I play the song that aren't in the recording, which I think is really cool because anybody that's here chilling right now is going to be seeing something that doesn't exist beforehand. So that's really cool. But that thread kind of ties me to the newer music I've been writing for the Bedbugs. I started working on that album and had finished that album, and what I mean by finished is I usually go through with the Bedbugs. I never have exactly a planned process, but with the Bedbugs, it's usually I sit down with an acoustic guitar or maybe my electric. More into the realm of the newer stuff, it was more the electric than the acoustic, but both things interchangeably. I'd sit down with those, I'd write chords, I'd write lyrics, I'd put the song skeleton together, and then afterward, when I was going through, and typically it's when I'm recording, I would go through and kind of come up with these extra parts on top of it to kind of make the song that already exists the full-fledged band thing that you hear on the record. Sometimes it never even gets to that point. I have a whole EP released. It's just me like playing my acoustic and singing in my bedroom, and shit like that. So there's some stuff that, or like even I've made a point to put one song per each album. Besides, I think this newest one, Centrifuge. If nothing else, one song per album is just like a full live recording of just me with an acoustic guitar singing the song, playing it, usually in my car or my bedroom or my like parents' kitchen or something. So this album was kind of starting to tread into new ground of a lot more electric guitar and a lot more kind of experimenting, not so much lead lines on this album, but kind of getting to the point where it wasn't just an acoustic guitar all the time, and then, transcribed over to electric, and maybe the chords were moved a bit, higher up on the neck or whatever. Like it was a bit more in depth on this album. But the newest album I had been working on is full of just lead lines. It's just got lead lines in it everywhere, and I've got a lot more of the instrumentation like pre-planned out, and it's a lot more transcribed and written down. And that's something that's cool. So that's something that's coming one day whenever I get around to it. I don't know when it is that I'm going to feel like coming back to that material. The thing about that album is I started working on it not long after I released the Centrifuge in 2019. And at some point in 2020, early 2020 maybe, or something like that, I had finished what was going to be that album as far as the song Skeletons. I had the acoustic and the vocal and stuff written, and I was going to start recording and write these other instruments and stuff. And I had a lot of these lead lines kind of pre-planned and stuff. I have them written out in Guitar Pro, which is like an old program I've talked about before that I sometimes use. And that was going to be my main focus, but then just spiritually and as a person and with momentum of age and time and what I was listening to at the point, I just kind of I moved past the Bedbugs for a while, and I started working on stuff for my project that's just under my name, which you can also find on all your streaming stuff and Bandcamp, like I've got pulled up. In fact, I have that pulled up right here. And there's not a lot on here right now, but coming really soon, I've been talking about it for a long time, is new music. And the new song in particular is a lot more funk, is a lot more pop, is a lot more electronic based than stuff that I've done before, and features a lot of keyboard instead of like guitars and stuff. And God, I'm just trying to think of points of this that are cool. I mean, it's all cool, and it's like musical comedy shit, and it's really bizarre and weird and interesting, and I just think it's gonna be fun to release. But that's my main focus right now, and what I'm trying to do with that, before someday my spirituality kind of flips back to let's work on the Bedbugs again, and I start focusing on that old material I have, which I've been very meticulous about, and actually removed some of the songs even from the album, and I'm trying to fill in some more holes. There's a lot of work to be done on that, and I've got to revisit it at a later point when that's where my heart is. But I have that album essentially written, and I'm kind of being just picky and choosy and going back and tailoring things as I need to. But the current stuff I'm working on is this pop stuff, essentially, this funk stuff. This keyboard and more electronic based stuff. That song has been sitting basically done for a long time, and I've kind of teased it a few times on stream here, and I'm just getting slightly better and not really getting to like a professional place with my producing, but getting to a place where I can really more than just plug into a little DI box or record out of a shitty mic of that same box in my car or my bedroom or whatever, or my closet or my parents' kitchen or whatever, like how I did all the old Bedbugs stuff, besides recording with my friend Luke, like I've mentioned before. I'm now doing a lot more of that kind of like actual mics, actual recording, and doing actual DAW, like doing real recording, even though not on a professional level. I've been working a lot more on that recently for the past year and a half, whenever I kind of made the flip from, okay, the bedbugs is going to take a back seat and this other stuff's going to take the front. I've been working on that stuff, and it's not top tier as far as the production, but it's like release ready. Like, I want to put it out there. And I get impatient sometimes, but the thing about it is that I have been waiting on a camera to come in so that I can start doing videos and show you guys me playing the instruments and maybe someday animate some weird shit in a music video. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be really cool. I need the camera first, and they have my shipment delayed by, like, a lot. So I've been sitting on that, but once I get the camera, I'm going to start working on videos, and I'm going to start putting some shit together to actually try and put that new material out finally, so that I can start letting out some of the backed up material finally, and then maybe someday I'll get to this new Bedbugs album again, and that'll be really cool. Anyway, let's get to this shit, man. So, I've been doing takes of this this evening, and it's rough, man. It's hard to get through and make things sound clean, so let's fucking do this. We're gonna go on ahead and just jump in, guys. This is The Offering. Right, so I'll pull the lyrics up for you guys. Hopefully I won't have to look over at them, and I can just play my fucking guitar leads and get into this, right? So let's do this thing, man. You might hear a lot of this from my guitar as we're sitting here, and hopefully the levels are cool. But let's fucking do this thing, man. This is The Offering, all right? Oh God, no! It's like in the middle of the song. Or no, okay. Here we go. Cheers, everybody. Happy Sunday. Let's fucking do this. I left my mother when I was young. Join the fold, now I'm coming undone. 'Neath the sky, the offering was one. A little boy whose guts were unstrung. He lay 'neath the bashing beak to beak, the angles would numb. Clashing creek by creek, my own will succumb. I can't linger here, my brother had won. Scratch marks mingle near my tired fleshy tongue. Recollect what was left and drift toward the sun. You let me go You let me go And there it is, folks. That's the fucking offering, man. Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun, man. So, now if you're not familiar with the song, you see what I mean by if I had just played the chords of that song, it's literally just E major 7, E major, over and over, with the end being like that E major with the A major. That's like the only exception or whatever. So I see people spamming in the chat. What's up? So that's like the only exception to the E major 7 and then E major thing. But that also, I guess, is a testament to, at least for me, that song was really impactful to make, because usually I make these songs that are, sometimes they're so far connected or so far disconnected, I guess, from my real life. They're these kind of separated, like, fantasy stories, you know? But even in those stories, there's always something kind of connected and tethered from some of the characters in the story to who I am, and that's what makes it fun for me to write those situations, is because I understand those humanistic, feelings that you would have even in these fantastic situations that would never happen, where in this song, I'll kind of go over it with the lyrics here in just a sec, I guess, to kind of get to it, but it's something that this is definitely not just like a pull from my life, but there are parts and there are things and there are connections to you in this fantastic story, and I don't know, that's just what made this song such an impactful piece on the record, and why I put it toward the end, to kind of build up to that last tune, which we'll get to soon, Transmission to User. It just, without it being a lot of playing, it was a wall of sound and a wall of feeling for me. And I'll say this too, I don't know why, but every time, I have guesses why, but every time I play something on stream that's like through like Bandcamp or Spotify or whatever, it always the quality coming through to you guys always sounds like really like it's coming through a radio, sort of. It sounds really grainy and it sounds really bizarre, and it's not what the actual tunes sound like. And then on top of that, today I was also playing guitar and singing with it. So if you want the real experience of that song, go put in some headphones, turn them up as loud as possible, in-ears or over-ears that cover your whole ear, and like really put your ear in a cage, like that's the best way to really experience this song, and to sit in a fucking dark room and just like think about the shit that's happening, that's the best way to experience this song. So that's what I was kind of getting at over having kind of difficulty of deciding what to do on the track for the stream. So hopefully that did it some justice. It felt good. It was fun. So I'm going to go with that. But let's kind of look at the art of this fucking thing and the lyrics of this thing. I guess let's do the, what would that be, the latter? Let's do the latter first, which would be the lyrics. So let's look at these lyrics and then kind of pull up the art and make sense out of that. Now I will get the art going here for you guys while I read these lyrics. This one was really cool. So this is obviously some digital art, and I'll kind of get to what that's about and stuff after the lyrics like usual. Remember, folks, as I said, you can buckle in and know willingly and hopefully today, jumping into all this, that every little step, same as usual. So let's look at the lyrics of this, but this is a really cool piece of art, right? Just super cool. There's just a lot to soak in. Just I don't know. I just thought this one was really unique and different out of a lot of the ones I saw. And that's kind of the cool thing about this album and the project I did with all the art on the different tracks is I aimed for every track to have its art, and I think there was like one or two that ended up missing some art. Just because, things don't happen sometimes. But this one was really cool, and everybody's had their own flair to it, which was just fucking awesome. And this is, you know, digital, which there wasn't a lot of digital art on the album. There was at least one or two other instances, I think, of digital art, but digital art's really always a cool medium to me too. How, you know, opposed to whenever I was younger, I always thought that digital things meant less, and that like physical and things made it more like vulnerable, and made it more connectable to the person, and made it more palatable even. But I have a huge appreciation for digital stuff now, and have for years and years. But just this was a really cool piece of digital art where it's almost crazy how you can look at a piece of digital art and know the person's style behind it that did it, even though it's all digital. You know, you can there's so many choices that you can make, as opposed to not making a choice somewhere in your art and just filling in and doing something for the sake of finishing the piece. You can make choices as well. And so many of the digital art pieces on this album had choices, like real choices by that person that were made. And I'll kind of dig into some of that too. So I don't know. I just think it's really cool how I think that way about music too. I used to not dig digital music as much and electronic stuff as much as I did just somebody playing an instrument. But now, and for years of my life, this is like a long time ago when I was a kid, I say, but it just all is a lot cooler to me. So anyway, let's look at the lyrics. We'll get into this, right? So I left my mother when I was young, joined the fold, now I'm coming undone. 'Neath the sky, the offering was one, a little boy whose guts were unstrung. So basically, getting into the first stanza here, this is kind of following and describing a character's experience, right? It's following one specific character. And the character is essentially the big kind of umbrella of this song is that it was meant to kind of feel like, and a lot of it was derived from personal experience, like I do with these weird fantasy stories. And then also the other half of this, other than throwing my own personal experience and feeling into this, was I remember watching a bunch of nature documentaries around the time of making this album. Like constantly, day by day by day. And one of the things that I thought was insane was it showed a pack of wild vultures. Now, I've seen vultures driving around fucking Missouri, like, all the time. You know, you just gotta find a dead animal on a back road, and you see a vulture sitting there, or two sometimes. But I've never, like, really felt like I've seen, like, a wild pack of vultures, you know what I mean? And I saw some in this documentary, and they're scavengers, right? So what I thought was really interesting was it was showing these really close-up shots of their faces and stuff, and as they were eating and flying around and sitting roosted and whatever, and I kept noticing that they were really scarred up on their faces. And I just thought that was really weird how their prey is dead shit that can't fight back. So how are these motherfuckers all scarred up? Sure, like, shit happens, but they were, like, scarred the fuck up. And then at some point I remember the host of the show explaining that and being like, they're scarred up, like, after I had this thought of, like, how, like, that's how physically and visually beat the fuck up these vultures were, was that I thought about it before they even brought it up. You know what I mean? I was sitting there like, how the fuck does something that eats dead shit get so beat up and bruised and cut in the face? You know? And then it started explaining how they get all these, you know, scars and shit from, and these lacerations from each other when they're, like, eating dead shit. They fucking, even though they're a pack, they destroy each other. Like, they fucking go at each other with beaks on bare skin, you know? I thought that was insane, and I thought it was really metaphorically kind of quaint how I found so quickly how that kind of connected to me and to other people, as how humans are, even small select group of humans, not even just all of us as a race, but even small select groups of humans, you know, our friend groups or our families or whatever small groups, you know, our cliques or whatever, you know, you think about that as your pack, your flock, your whatever a group of vultures is called. You think about that as your homies, and then sometimes your homies and your family like scar you up, or you do that to each other. Like, that shit happens, right? And there's just so many ways that I found that metaphor so, like, just genuinely, like, it just made sense. It clicked. I didn't have to force anything out of that metaphor. And so that's what I kind of wanted to do with this song, and that's a lot of what the art has to do with the song, and I'll kind of get to that soon. But that's what it's kind of talking about. A lot of these things that this character go through, a lot of the things that he specifically mentions are kind of him being the vulture side of him, but then there's obviously parts of it where it's very human, the way he's like viewing the world around him or himself and stuff, right? So I left my mother when I was young as kind of this wild animal, kind of vulture sort of thing of like, I'm not sticking around my family forever. I'm gone. I'm leaving. And every bit of this is just metaphorical to a real life. I mean, it's not like I left my family when I was a child or anything, but, at some point we all have to make this disconnect, right? Like, at some point, like, no one lives forever. At the very least, you've got to make a disconnect at that point from your family, your friends, your pack. I mean, things happen to people. And life moves on, you got to make these disconnects. So it opens up with this kind of wild animal thing of, I left my mother, we get raised X amount of time and then we're gone from the pack or whatever, from the flock. Join the fold. Now I'm coming undone, and I believe fold was kind of a term for a group of birds or maybe a group of vultures or something. Whenever I was looking this up, the fold is kind of a group of animals at the very least. I know that. Join the fold. Now I'm coming undone. So you leave your family and you kind of join this other group, these group of people, or in this case wild animals, that are supposed to be your like significant others or something, right? Like your friends, your connections, your business, or whatever kind of aspect of life you're looking at. But these wild animals, it's literally this group, this fold that they join, and coming undone slowly through that process of being near those people that you have a mutual goal, but you sort of slowly untether and pull the yarn from each other's clothes and make each other barren over just life and existence, Neath the sky, the offering was one, a little boy whose guts were unstrung, and this is kind of the birds flying overhead, the vultures flying overhead, and noticing that the offering that the world was giving them at this moment to kind of bicker over and scar each other over was this little boy beneath. It was a little boy that they found his guts. I mean, he was a dead little boy, and they flew down on this boy and were like, yeah, this is our connection now. The thing that somehow brings us together, like these vultures eating dead prey, but then also scarring each other while they're together, That's the next thing. That's the offering. It's that boy. It's that dead boy down there. He lay neath the sun. I eat of his young lungs. It's all just very kind of image laying, setting, kind of bearing, setting bearing of giving you a place where you are here. You're under the sun. And it's just telling it what it is, You're eating his lungs out of his chest, which are just kind of this really gruesome kind of almost like tie to a lot of the dark and weird and sort of a lot of the metal, but not just metal does, physical and body horror and shit like that, but that kind of ties to that physical body horror element of things that I like, which is like metal and horror movies and sometimes weird indie or pop even or whatever. All kinds of shit, man, but that appeals to that side of me. The next stanza is bashing beak to beak, the angles would numb. There's some alliteration that I really love. Clashing creek by creek, there's some more. My own will succumb. I can't linger here, my brother had won. Scratch marks mingle near my tired, fleshy tongue. Recollect what was left and drift towards the sun. So a lot of cool rhyme scheme stuff and a lot of alliteration going on there. Everything kind of rhymes with each other, but in a really loose way as the lines go on and on. And then there's a lot of that alliteration, like bashing beak to beak, clashing creek by creek, that stuff. I just love throwing in, especially because of like Saint Seneca, great band that should be checked out by all of you that ever see this, because they have Zach Little writes better lyrics than I ever could, and I pull a lot of that stuff from him because I'm really inspired by that. But this is the vultures now on the young boy that they're eating, bashing beak to beak like they're headbutting now, right? The angles would numb, all of these angles and crevices and nooks and crannies in their face, all these cuts and all these scars in their face, all these angles of life and of existence around them, not just the scars on their face, but everything. Everything, all these angles and directions and patterns and all the things you see around you that make the world physically around you, all these angles become numb. Because now we're here fighting over this purpose that we all came here for. There's a, individual, or not individual, is a pack's purpose to be here and to get fed. And now we're fighting each other. So that's kind of interesting. Clashing creek by creek. So there's almost metaphorically so much kind of fighting and jarring going on that things are creaking, like things are becoming worn or becoming tired, whether you think of it as their bones or the beaks against each other, or if it's just a metaphorical kind of like, oh, I get that, because like a machine gets creaky and old, or a door gets creaky and old as it's used and as it's worn and tired. Whatever way you connect that to, this is kind of just appealing to that sense. Then my own will succumb that's just saying the character, the specific vulture or human or whatever that it's kind of tied to, their will is giving up. They're giving up. Can't linger here, my brother had won. That's kind of the image of fighting against the family kind of thing, and having this whole debacle. Scratch marks mingle near my tired, fleshy tongue, even down to the tongue of which you use to eat, of which you use to pull shit into your mouth and swallow, and like even the tongue is getting damaged. Even the most essential bits of your being are being torn apart by your family, your friends, or whatever. These other vultures, right? Recollect what was left and drift towards the sun. And that's kind of the like, okay, we're done eating, we're done fighting, we're kind of just sitting here awkwardly like we just destroyed each other to destroy this thing in front of us that we were all trying to destroy anyway. We were fighting at this common goal, but we're done now. It's time to move on, and we got to stick together. So, pull yourself together. All that shit that just happened, just pull that together and deal with it, and let's go. That's kind of what that's saying. And then the final bit, you let me go home, you let me go home. You drift towards the sun, you drift towards the sun. And that's kind of, again, just exemplifying that point, right? So the art kind of shows a lot of that story, like literally playing out. It's all these vultures, these bizarre these look like ravens, like evil shadow ravens. My friend Alicia Boyer did this shit, and her shit is awesome, dude. You have to go check her out, because she does a lot of digital art that I just thought had a really unique style. Whenever I was, talking to people about doing things for this project, I was like, man, I got to get that person to do something for this, because look at that fucking art, dude. And you can see that she appeals to that dark sensibility that I have, where there's literally this kind of yin and yang thing going on with a lot of the black and white, and then of course these weird raven shadow crows or vultures or whatever have like these red eyes, and that's the only red kind of highlighted in the photo, and it's from your the character's viewpoint of the vulture, and you're kind of watching through these eyes, these red few eyes in this situation. You're watching through that lens, and you're seeing these two people standing in the forest, this yin and yang, this kind of spiritual and this physical, of the boy whose guts were unstrung, of which the song speaks, you know what I mean? Like, he's fucking there, dude. And that's like his spirit or another person, right? Like, there's so many like metaphorical ties you can make to what that kind of entity is in front of him, that literally is like has less of a form and less of an identity than the black one that has the guts unstrung and everything on the left, right? Like, the one that's all spiritual and white and glowing is just almost ethereal, and you can make so many implications off of that too, and just I just thought this was such a cool piece. I had no idea what some artist would do for this piece, and my hopes were that there would be some of that body horror and that sort of disgusting, twisted sensibility, whether it's about the emotions that the characters are going through or the body horror. I wanted a lot of that dark, twisted sensibility to the art. And that's why I picked Alicia to do this one, is because I thought she would maybe play with that really well. And she did way better than I could have ever pictured. And I did, like, if I was approached with this song in particular, even, like, I would have no idea what the fuck to draw or paint or whatever. Like, some of the songs, I mean, I wrote all the songs. You would hope that I would have kind of a cool visual idea for each of them. I don't. But some of them in particular I do, and then some of them in particular are just so out there that it's like, that's the purpose of this. I wanted to give this to random people. Not random people, but people I knew. I wanted to give this to people and see what they could do with it. And Alicia did a lot with this. I just thought this was fucking awesome, man. So, I mean, go check her shit out. I mean, I know she's on Instagram. I don't do a lot besides Instagram. And, that's pretty much it. I just post on Instagram, like, music stuff. But I know she's on Instagram. You gotta go check her out, man. It's just awesome. It should still be, I think, Lush Draws, unless I know she kind of separated her art channel off from her main channel recently, and there may have been a change in that. But Lush Draws, Alicia Boyer. I'm not great at plugs. That's not what this stream's necessarily for, but hey, man, go check her fucking shit out, because look at how awesome that is. Yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it for me today. I just wanted to get down and talk about this song, and here I am talking about it, and now out of things to say, obviously, because I'm like, hey, man, this was fun. I got to play, and I got to get back to streaming after a few weeks of taking off, so that was cool. The next step of the Centrifuge is the last track, which is Transmission to User, and it has some really bizarre chord. Well, it's like one set of chord changes the whole time, but it has some really bizarre chords in it. It's got some really bizarre concepts in it. It's about space and aliens and transmissions to maybe said user, and it's got references to the movie Alien, 1979. Fucking righteous movie. You need to go check out that whole series. 6 films so far. I think there's a TV show now getting worked on. It's fucking cool. I put a lot of a soundscape at the end of this last song to kind of reference and pay homage to that series. So, fuck yeah, man. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, what the fuck ever. For me, it's like the middle of the work week, and I just have a day off on Sunday. So that's cool. I'm going to go enjoy that day off. Pepe Mache says, what's up, and peace out. We're going to go now. Remember, guys, you always have to be cool. Take it easy.